Hello, my crafty friends. Well, today I am going to show you how to take a very simple design and then step it up to create two more beautiful cards. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have 3 different card ideas that I want to share with you, which feature the stepping up technique. And so basically this technique involves taking a very basic design and then stepping it up by adding a variety of different elements or texture to the card to create a whole new look. Now, the cards in this video feature the Happiness Abound stamp set from Stampin Up and the Blossoming Happiness dies. And we will also be using some of the designer paper from the Hues of Happiness Designer Series paper pack. So this particular paper pack has just a variety of different colors and some absolutely gorgeous pattern paper designs. Now, the Hues of Happiness Designer Series paper is just absolutely gorgeous by itself. But one of my favorite things about this paper is that the dies from the stamp set or from the bundle actually fit each of these different flowers and the leaves that are on this designer paper. So you can cut out all the different florals and the different leaves to use in your card making. So that's what I did today, is I just cut out a variety of different flowers and the different leaves from this designer paper to use on my cards. Okay, so let's start out by creating the basic design. So this is the first card that I put together using this particular bundle and suite of products. So I'm going to show you how to create it in a different color. So the color of my sample card is Coastal Cabana, but we are going to create it in Fresh Freesia. So I just wanted you to see the difference, between the Coastal Cabana and the Fresh Freesia. We'll create it exactly the same. I'm just using different colors. That's the only difference. Okay, so we're going to start out by stamping our card base. So our card base is the standard size. It's 5.5 by 8.5. It's scored in the middle at 4.25 inches to create the base of the card. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just stamp the background. So I'm just going to use the same color ink as the cardstock, just for a more subtle look. And I'm going to use a variety of images from the Happiness Abound stamp set. So I'm just going to start by stamping kind of around the outer edge. And you're just going to kind of go in and out. So it's kind of looks random. So we'll just add the florals, and then I'm just going to add some of these leaf images in between here. And I'm not going to worry too much about the inside section because we're going to have a focal point that's going to come right down the center here. So we'll just stamp some leaves. And there's 2 different leaf images. So I'm just going to kind of mix and match them on here and just fill in some of these spaces. And we'll add another one up here. I think that'll all get covered, but so that's the basic design for our card front. So let me bring back the sample. So the next thing I did is I just cut a 2.5 by 4.25 inch piece of white cardstock. And so this is going to become the focal point for my card. So I'm going to stamp a greeting on the bottom. And I'm going to just use some Mossy Meadow ink. So then I'm going to adhere one of the florals that I cut from the designer paper. That's just going to go right in the center here. And then I'll just take some of those leaves and just kind of tuck them around this particular floral image. So these little shapes I all cut from the designer paper. So of course you can stamp them too, but I just decided to use the designer paper. And then the last thing I did is just cut out 1.5 by 2 3/4 inch long piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock. And so this is just going to go on this left side of the card just to kind of accent this a little bit. So you can see it just draws out the mossy meadow color. So we'll go ahead and add this over on the left-hand side. Okay, so now we're ready to add our focal point. So I just added some dimensionals on the back, and I'm just going to overlap it onto that little green piece there. And that's it. That's how simple that card is, and look how gorgeous it is. All right, and then for the finishing touch, we're just going to add some pearls. So I put like a larger pearl in the center here, and then I put 2 smaller ones on each side of this larger one. So there you go. Look how beautiful that is. Okay, so this is the basic design that we're going to work with. And now we're going to take this exact same design and we're going to step it up a little bit to create just a whole different look. Okay, so here is card number 2. So it's the exact same design. I just stepped it up a little bit by adding some ribbon and just a little bit of texture in the background. So let me show you how to make this one. So again, we're just going to start with the same cardstock base, and I did the exact same stamping in the background. I have the exact same piece of cardstock, so this is 2.5 by 4.25. So this is going to go right in the center here. But before we do any decorating, we're going to add some ribbon right across the center. So you tie one knot and then you tie another one. And then just pull it tight. Once you have it kind of laying right, then you just pull it tight. Okay, so now I'm just going to trim these little ends up here. And that's it. So you just have this little trimmed edge. Kind of looks like a cute little bow. Very simple way to do a bow. So the next thing I did is I still used that 1.5 by 2 3/4 inch piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock. But this time I used one of the dies from the set. Kind of creates this little notebook edge. So I just laid that on the side to create that little bit of texture. So we're going to add this first to the left side of the card. And now we can go ahead and create our little focal point. So I'm using the same florals. And of course, I already stamped the exact same greeting that I used on the first card. So we'll add our little florals. We'll just tuck our little leaves behind here. And then this time I just added some pearls kind of all around the floral image. So, okay, and then the last thing I did is just add some dimensionals, and then we can just pop this up right on our card front. So how beautiful is that? And let me show you how this compares to the original design. So you can see it's the exact same design. I just added this little bit of texture. I added a little bit of ribbon and then just changed the location of my pearls. But it's basically the same card. It just has a completely different look. All right, let me show you the last card. Okay, and here is the last card. So again, it's the same basic design. I just stepped it up quite a bit by adding some texture and some additional florals on this card. So let me show you how to make this one. So again, we're going to start with our same card base, the same stamping all the way around the card base. And this time I have a 2.5 by 4.25 inch piece of white cardstock, same cardstock we used on the other cards, but I added a big design through the center. So in the Happiness Abounds bundle, there is a die that creates this fun little texture in the background. So I simply cut this design out into my white cardstock. And what I'm going to do is just add a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock behind it so that I get a little bit of that green peeking through. So we'll go ahead and do this. So you can cut your Mossy Meadow cardstock just, like 1/8 of an inch smaller, just so that you don't have to try to match up all the edges. I always cut my cardstock a little bit smaller on the back, so that it gives me a little bit of wiggle room to to add the piece behind my die cut shape. Okay, so we have that. That's all set to go. I still have my little 1.5 by 2 3/4 inch piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock for the side of the card. So I again added that same texture that I did on card number 2. So this is just going to go off to the left side again. And then this will overlay that. And then for my focal point, I'm still using my florals. So this time I used a smaller floral along with the bigger one. So we'll just add the 2 florals first, and I'm just popping them up with a couple dimensionals. And then I simply went around and tucked those little leaves in on different points, you know, of this card. So it's very simple and just kind of a fun way to step up this card and add more depth, dimension, and texture. Okay, so I just added some dimensionals to the back, and now we're ready to just pop this up on our card. And there you have another stepped up version. So we'll just add a couple of pearls and the front of our card will be done. There we go. Now, I decided not to put a greeting on the front. A lot of times I'll just let the card kind of work for itself. This was just so beautiful. I just didn't want to put a greeting on the front. So I did put my greeting or my sentiment on the inside. So to add your piece on the inside, I just have a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece. So we can just go ahead and add this right to the inside. And then I just cut a piece off the edge. This is 5 inches long and it's 3/4 inches wide. So that just kind of goes off the left side. And then I just took that same greeting that I had been working with, that same sentiment, and I just stamped it on the inside. And so that's what card number 3 looks like. So here's the original version. Here's the stepped up version. And again, my greeting is just on the inside instead of on the outside. But it's just a fun way to kind of play around with one simple design to create additional cards. Okay, so there you go. Now you have 3 different card ideas, which were all created from just one basic design. So I hope this inspired you to take out some of your favorite designs and see how you can step them up to create additional cards. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. And leave me a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the cards shared here today. Have a fun and creative day, my friends. Take care.